So look, I cannot say in the first 30 seconds of my intro here what album I'm getting ready to listen to because bad words are filtered out in the first X amount of sentences, or at bare minimum, it affects the way the video gets handled on YouTube. Neither here nor there. I have had a lot of time spent of listening to people tell me I needed to listen to this album. Not too long ago, we actually held an album election, and an overwhelming amount of people voted for me to listen to this album. And it's kind of funny because it does broach a lot of the genre territories that I've kind of been approaching with a familiar face. Now, today we are going to be indulging in The Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. Now, this is interesting because this brings up a scenario that I have not necessarily jumped into yet. This is super jazz, and I am not familiar with jazz really in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, other than the few things I have reacted to on the channel, jazz is largely an unexplored territory for me. So as I approach this, if you happen to notice a little bit of ignorance, recognize it comes from really a curious and investigative heart. This is what people are saying is more like jazz fusion than jazz. And it kind of makes sense because the artist John McLaughlin, who I am familiar with from his work with Mahavishnu Orchestra, which I was introduced to by you guys, is on this album. And he was an exemplary guitar player. I mean, and such, from the sounds of things, a kind and soft-spoken yet wonderful and charismatic person. And so honestly, I feel like if you've got that man screaming strings singing on this, you've likely got something that's going to be really cool. Here's the thing. I am very, very much going to be ignorant when it comes to this. I don't have a jazz background. I don't have a formal education background in music whatsoever. I'm a dude that found out I had a pretty decent ear and could play many instruments on a not savant level. But there was some Discord, some context provided, and it looks like before Bitches Brew, Miles was one of the greatest innovators of jazz, and he helped shape cool jazz, hard bop, modal jazz, and post-bop. Beginning with the 1968 album, Miles in the Sky, Miles began to incorporate electric instruments into his music. He wasn't the first to do this. In the jazz world, Eddie Durham played electric guitar in the 30s, and Sun Ra used electric keyboards in the 50s. Still, when Miles did it, some accused him of selling out to rock fans. The controversy grew in 1969 with the album In a Silent Way, produced by Tio Macero, which heavily relied on tape edits. For many jazz purists who prized live one-take playing, this felt like heresy. So, in August of 1969, Miles and Tio doubled down. The Bitches Brew tracks were cut in sections. Miles would call a tempo, sketch out a few chords or a rough melody, then the band, set up in a half circle around him, would improvise. He threw out cues on the fly, and you'll hear him snapping his fingers and whispering instructions. Afterwards, Tio stitched the sections together, adding tape loops, delays, reverb, and echo. Bitches Brew, along with In a Silent Way and Emergency by Tony Williams, Lifetime, helped bridge the gap between rock and jazz in a time when rock was making its own crossing with albums like Zappa's Hot Rats or Soft Machine's Third. After Bitches Brew came out in March of 1970, Miles opened up for the Grateful Dead at the Fillmore West in April, which is pretty cool because if you know me, you know that I have I've made it pretty clear that I'm a fan of Jerry. And guys, yeah, this has got me pretty excited. Now, shout out to Fiona Apple, I guess. Have you heard this album before? A lot of people don't know this, but I have a music discovery stream, and as I go through this, the goal is to discover music with great people and listen to music that people really like with people who have never heard it. So do let me know. Chat, are you raw dogging with me on a first time listen, or is this an album that you've actually heard before and either love or hate? Guys, I'm gonna hit the play button on this thing, but before I do, it's just very important to me that you know that you are awesome, that you are valuable, that you are important, that frightened the crap out of me, that you matter, that you are deserving of love, and that I am abundantly grateful for even a moment of your time. If you like what you see, feel free to hit the like and the subscribe button. It goes a long way to help me out. And if you really like what you see, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Or join us on Twitch or on Kick. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Arizona time. These people over here are actually the best people. Come hang out with us. Come discover music with us. I know I speak for all of us when I say we would love to have you by. And guys, do recognize that so much of what I do is based on learning music through the conversation. So if you happen to identify ignorance, please feel free, teach me something. I've really improved as a musician from talking and learning theory from the chat. Now, obviously, I have that verified, and I have to go and learn what I'm doing and put it in a context, but recognize chat will be likely throwing out context. Sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't, but I don't come into this ignorantly to dishonor the music. And in fact, so much of what I do is based on the conversation, and what happens in the comments section. So please feel free, if you have context. I know a lot of viewers like the comment section for that. So guys, without further ado, first timers, identify yourselves. Let's hop in. This is Miles Davis's album, Bitches Brew. Starting off with Pharaohs Dance. Here we go. And for, I guess, the sake of there not being lyrics, I'll have this up. Okay. I like all the layers. It's really building. Between this and Trout Mask, prepare to have your impression of the bass clarinet ruined forever. I'm going to be honest, I didn't have much of an impression of the bass clarinet prior to Trout Mask. I really like this vibe. I really like that it kind of feels like this is like progressively building up. And also, I know a lot of people might get upset if they notice me pause it throughout. YouTube won't allow me to upload it if this could in any way be seen as like a pound for pound recreation or a pound for pound ripoff of the song. They would just see that as me stealing Miles Davis's content. So if I pause, forgive me. The content requires the commentary. I love the descending of this piano. Is that a Rhodes piano that they're playing? Like a Fender Rhodes keyboard? There's two drummers, I believe they said that, because I'm hearing I feel like I'm hearing like a ride happening from one drummer in the right ear, and then I feel like in the left ear I'm hearing like hi-hats. Hi-hats are gone. Now they're just in the... They do these pause, kind of say Sura-y moments. Listen to that bass. Is that Miles? super expressive. This whole thing has been a progressive build-up. Oh, never mind. Edgy for 20 minutes. Honestly, I kind of feel like the keys have been maybe the most articulate throughout this so far. Like it feels like I'm. And are there two keys being sets of keys being played right now, or is it just one keys player? I'm certainly hearing what I think is like a Fender Rhodes keyboard. Could be a Wurlitzer. Thank you. Hand drums in the left. I think our boy John's on the left here. Definitely some polyrhythmic thing happening here. What are blue notes? The tension in this. Like they give you this, like it's interesting because it does feel in a lot of ways like they're like communicating with each other. I was noticing this though as I was kind of hearing. It says Directions in Music by Miles Davis, and they call it Miles Davis Bitches Brew, and you see this very, very like psychedelic looking album cover, but it's also kind of earthy, and admittedly, I'm super interested to know if you guys think that like the album cover connects to the music in any kind of way. Like, what do we know about the album cover? Does it have anything to do with it? I'm noticing that this saxophone sound, it doesn't feel like I've had an identifiable melody, so to speak, right? So it feels like you have this like real big thing with tension, and they're all kind of like calling and responding to one another. Maybe, but you notice that there's some motif that happens throughout it. Ooh. Is that the bass clarinet? Whoa. The different drum sounds. It sounds like maybe the bass clarinet kind of walked to the center of the room because he feels very much centered, almost like he's blowing into a microphone that they centered up. But then you feel it like they give you a real kind of beautiful sense of the room to where it feels kind of like you're standing in the middle of the musicians. Like if you close your eyes, you can kind of put yourself into the middle of what feels like an open studio room. And I don't know, it just wow. The back. I can hear John McLaughlin coming in now. Is he playing his double neck SG, or was it even a Gibson product at that time? What axe is John using in this? Honestly, the keys have been some of my favorite things so far. And that bass line. There's John again. Bow, bow. Yeah, I think you're right on the roads. When he comes in with these moments, I want to go back. When you come in with that, like that really does have just this like immediately striking right into your brain kind of thing. It really calls attention to everything. Are they adding the echoes? Like, are they doing it to all of the instruments or just like the guitars? Jeez, sorry. If you're wondering why I've got the blanket, I've been battling fever the last couple of days, and I'm literally sitting here going from sweating bullets to freezing. Anyways, do you know how they are going about that? This feels like it could be like in noir films in some parts, right? Mel was thinking that too. Both drummers are kind of building it up. Bass in the back. You can definitely hear the reverbs, right? Like when he's blowing. like you can hear the room. It's in my brain. I was thinking it's the room, but now I'm wondering if it's that they've put reverb on his trumpet. Right there. What's up, Dan, the man with the pants? So, to those that are wondering how this is done, you can microphone into pedals, right? They have an XLR splitter, which will go into a 1/4-inch splitter. So, basically, I don't have, I mean, I have both cables like right in front of me, but I can't unplug them to show you, right? But yeah, I'm not gonna bother. But basically, you would in my brain, Miles goes up to a trumpet, he blows into the microphone, and the wherever the cord goes, this thing right here gets into an XLR, into a 1/4-inch jack, right, that you would plug into like a guitar. That would go into the wah-wah pedal, and then that would go into either the mixer or the soundboard, or whatever it might be, right? The same with really any of those pedals that he might want. It's definitely not a use case I ever would have thought even remotely a possibility, but to hear that, I can see how the chain would work in my brain. So you can put pickups, so people are putting pickups into them as well. Are they passive or active? How's that operating? This has been my favorite part so far. There's the bass clarinet again. You know, so I can't decide what I think this is. I feel like this part of the artwork is like fire, and that we're seeing the smoke of the fire go into what is clearly a storm approaching, and it feels like the waters are kind of rising here. I'm not quite sure, but it definitely gives the impression that like we're in for buildup. I've said many times throughout this that I felt like this was progressively building up more and more, and it feels like that is the case, but it kind of feels like one of those things that just never stops building up because it's such a soft and subtle thing. Or, you know, how sometimes you hear music that feels like it constantly elevates, even though they're just kind of playing the same tones over and over and over and over and over again, but you just feel like it keeps climbing, even though in theory it's really just kind of going in a circle top to bottom. It certainly feels like that's kind of the element here. And when you hear how some of these noises kind of throw you off, right? Like the way that the bass clarinet things happen, and it kind of brings on this like almost a grumbling of the music, right? Like it almost feels like you've got this deep voice kind of telling you, hey, something bad's about to happen. And then you hear kind of like almost panic in the trumpet or alarm. it definitely feels like there is a huge thing. Oh, wow. You see that? It's pretty cool. When when the homie John comes in on this one, honestly, is John McLaughlin still out there like doing stuff today? I would love to kind of see what that man is up to now. Every single time I hear his work, it's some combination of massive in my face and delicate. Like it's like he plays the hardest guitar with the softest hands, and some of the most agile ideas off the top of his head ever. The guitar work is so nice. This is super good. What'd you say? You're making me tea? W's for my wife who's making me tea. We have been what'd you say? She's bitches brewing, she said. Her words, not mine. I did not call my wife a bitch. Everybody be abundantly clear that I did not just call my wife a bitch. But she's over here. She turned the studio monitors up so she could hear a little bit, and she's over there dancing in the kitchen, which is impressive because we've both been battling fever the last 2 days. I was about to say something very similar to Beta. They never do what you think that they're gonna do. This is really, really cool, and I know I keep pausing it, but they never do what you think that they're gonna do, right? Like, they keep having these moments where I feel like I'm getting into a rhythm of what they're doing, and then I go to, like, imitate it with my air instruments, and then it's different. And then it's like, I look like a dink because I totally didn't air instrument correctly. But there's something really, really, really intriguing about that, because it's always, like, doing something else, and in a way that is exciting and unique. Like, every single time something changes, I'm like, oh, that's different. Wait, what? Huh? It's really cool. Are the keyboard players playing different keyboard types? Like, do we have one Wurlitzer and one Rhodes? I think that might actually be the case. In a build-up. I want to come back, because you kind of get met with this say ceremony here, right? You go from this big, huge amount of noise, and then just into the bass, that kind of 4 on the floor with the bass guitar kind of thing. Also, I know 4 on the floor is a bass drum thing, not a bass guitar thing. I just, you understood what I meant. See, this is tasty. Yeah, you have to put the whole bass guitar there. I want to call this attention to the what I think is the bass clarinet and John on guitar here. Bang, bang. It's. This song is such a journey. It's fantastic. I love it. Unbelievable. Never. Thank you, sweet love. sometimes I know you guys have heard me say the phrase that sometimes music gives up form and function so that it can embody motion and mindfulness. And I feel like just immediately first song in, this does that. It feels like you have many instrumentalists who are virtuosic at what they do that are somehow in the midst of this massive dance with what feels like pretty loose direction, but really, really, really tight musicianship, and the way that they all seem to be mixed so well that they don't seem to be interfering with one another, or that what one does not seem to take away from what the other does, but that it all seems to somehow reinforce itself, you know what I mean? But also it's doing that reinforcing in the midst of what seems to be chaos. And as I find myself kind of looking at this album cover, honestly, maybe it's just because I'm seeing it and looking at it, having a hard time like removing myself from it. But as I go throughout this, like obviously we're listening to this, but this feels massively psychedelic to me. Like, I don't know how many of you guys have done like psychedelics, but like the imagery that you have when you close your eyes and forget that you're a human being with your name, that you're just, when you're just some spirit that is a part of the cosmic debris. This feels kind of like that. Like, I have definitely felt like I'll go ahead and say like altered states of consciousness and like, ego dissolving kinds of moments. Like, I do feel like this is the type of imagery that like you see maybe with more formless people or whatever, like not necessarily in the exact form, but it definitely feels like, especially this, right? And these folks, right? Like, there is something there. And if you've been in those kinds of places, like, these people do feel like people that you encounter. And I don't know. I don't think that maybe the sound, like, honestly, really, this whole ending of it has the way that they've been escalating it out, the way that it's been getting more and more chaotic, and yet, kind of they drop it and pick it back up again. I really, really, really like this. And honestly, when I think about the fact that this was the kind of music that was going on as psychedelics were at their peak, like, it makes me kind of wonder. I don't know. Interestingly enough, I do believe that they've done the Bitches Brew sessions because I found it. This is stupid. Got it. Thank you. But I forgive my ignorance. The speed that they're ending it with, the polyrhythmic thing, the keys, the bass. And they kind of board faded it, right? Like, honestly, that is not one. That's without question, 100%, not at all what I thought I was going to be walking into as I approached this. That was 20 minutes. That did not seem like any 20 minutes I ever been a part of. And honestly, that is kind of like, I think I one time said that Dave Brubeck's Take 5, which was a song that I found kind of coincidentally because it was hold music that I literally took out my cell phone and put it up to my phone's earpiece so I could, Shazam it, and found out that Take 5 by Dave Brubeck was hold music. And then I did a reaction to it because I really, really, really liked it. But I can remember thinking, like, that's what I want my jazz to sound like. And having heard this, I have a distinctly different feeling. Like, I really loved Take 5 by Dave Brubeck, and in fact, Dave Brubeck is an artist whose music I would like to further delve into. But I think as far as just jazz goes, and maybe it's because it's fusion jazz that I'm finding it's maybe more interesting. But there's just a lot more to this, like the improvisational thing is always what has appealed to me about jazz. But to see it done with the electric instruments, the sounds of, like, the psychedelic textures of, like, the 60s and 70s, with the Rhodes and the way that they all kind of play and add this, like, bombastic thing, but then also this chaotic and wild thing. I really, really, really like that. I like the way that they do that. I like that each instrumentalist feels featured. It doesn't feel like there's a single musician that is phoning it in, other because of what I've heard him do, than John McLaughlin, which is really cool because even what he has done has added such massive depth to this. I'm like, this is what an amazing first impression. And again, I could absolutely stare at this album artwork all day. Really good. And this one is the title track. This is The Bitches Brew. Also, Trouble on Demand, welcome to the Rooskies. Rooskies, make our new friend feel at home. I've only heard Watermelon Man by Hancock. Is that a stand-up bass? Stereo soundscape, and this is amazing. I don't know that I've ever thought to myself, like, I'm gonna hear horns with a stereo soundscape and kind of a ping pong delay pattern here, right? Like, this is oscillating from ear to ear. When that comes in, that whole thing, that's just something I've never heard before. That! What? And then the keys. Oh, man. See, you say that, Tim. You say that. I'm going to bring it back a little bit because this is an interesting point of discussion. You say that. You can imagine all the old jazz purist cats, like, listening to this and making disgusted expressions. You can absolutely. I, myself, can imagine Jerry listening to this and thinking, like, yeah, man, that's, like, really great. Would you like to come on, you want to come on the road with us, man? Like, I can see that in my brain, and that's really, really exciting to me. Like, you can hear many interviews of Jerry Garcia saying, like, he made his music to, to kind of coincide with, to kind of, it's based off of the psychedelic experience. This feels like that. Like, I don't know how anybody could hear these sounds and not think that. And in the same way, it isn't just exclusively a psychedelic experience. Listen, right? It's just an interesting one. And I don't know what it is to be a jazz purist, so I don't understand the severity. I also wasn't alive when Dylan went electric. And, you know, so there's definitely things that, like, I think I just wouldn't understand because I wasn't there to experience that. But in the same way, as I hear this, and I can say as a person who is 34 years old, I was born in 1991, that I've never, to this date, heard something like this, right? Like, I've never thought I would hear psychedelic jazz before. Watermelon Man was maybe the closest, that song by Herbie Hancock was maybe the closest thing I've ever heard. But I almost feel like I only think that because I heard that song whilst on a psychedelic, right? Like, it's just how it is. So to me, that song was just always psychedelic because I heard it, you know, tripping. This is not that case. This is just, regular guy listens to the bitches brew. Gosh! The drums! Sweating bullets. I'm so happy with this. Before we go into this boom boom by the bass, right? I'm going to bring it back like 15 seconds. I want us to pay attention to the drums here because there really is something special happening. You do have two separate kits, left to right ear, hard panned. And when you hear the different textures that either guy brings, right? Like, it's actually really interesting because they're not. Listen. Snare runs in the left, crashes in the right, stick taps and snares and cymbals. Bass. You hear the snapping, but then you hear that kind of say Sura moment that leads right into Miles leading that. And another thing this feels like so much of it is kind of based on the tension provided by like diminished sounding things. This is maybe going to sound like a really dumb thing, and forgive me. Is jazz a lot of diminished stuff? Like, it sounds, because like, listen to how much they do. It feels like they're so intermediate in between what they're doing, right? Like, so in rock music, right, diminished chords are often like transitionary pieces between, like, you have I don't know, like a G to an A, right? Like your G sharp diminished is like what I think you would play kind of in a stair step to get from your G to your A, and it feels like a lot of this is kind of built on multiple diminished chords in different parts. Does that make sense? The snap has an echo. Am I the only one that's getting turned on by the echo on the snap? And that bass line. first timers, I've got to run an ad break, but for the first time, people here listening to the bitches brew with me, tell me, what is your impression of this? This is so cool. I did not know Jazz did this. I hate pausing in the middle. I'm going to bring it back a little bit because, you know, Twitch is going to be Twitch. So I'm going to go back to just 3 minutes flat. Give me your impressions of this. I'm blown away. Be right back. Okay, look, guys, if you happen to see smoke, it's not that we're smoking, it's that my wife is doing, you know, some Palo Santo in our home. So this is not a blunt. This is not anything. We it's Palo Santo. Don't want you to think anything is, you know, isn't above board. Hopping back in. W's for Palo Santo wife. I really love that snap sound. That bass is nice. Is it an upright bass or an electric bass? Ooh. See, here's another example. That drum set does not do at all what you think it's gonna. When it comes in, it kind of comes in with what you think is like a 4/4, and then it's just nope. Really? I love your guys' context so much. And then that. It's progressively building, and each instrument is kind of adding to elevating it. What I'm saying is the drummer doesn't go right into the... You know, I'm saying he didn't hold the rhythm in exactly the same way you would expect a drummer to, right? Like, he's almost kind of being countered to it, but still within the same time signature. I don't know what that word is, and perhaps I'm just talking out of my ass. Is it swinging? Again, forgive my lack of terminology or my ignorance when it comes to the terminology. I just know that it didn't come in and hold the same groove. It kind of went and did its own thing and explored beyond just what we expected it to do. That's really what I'm trying to get at. That ride. I just read what you typed. Is that the guitar I'm hearing? Am I hearing John McLaughlin do that on the or is that keys? That. I think that's keys. There's our guy coming in with that kind of a double bend thing. But listen for him. That's John. There's so many different parts of this that just stand out to me as like, how have I not heard it? And I think a lot of it is like, you don't know what you're missing until somebody points it out to you, potentially, right? But it's like, as I have to be careful as I'm listening to this, because I really could just let it play too long to the point to where YouTube would just steadfastly not allow me to upload it. But as I go through it, there's so many things I'm hearing that I'm getting excited about, that I want to talk about, that I want to comment on. Like, what is this guy doing? How am I hearing this? Like, is it call and response? How much of this is like rehearsed versus improv? And how much creative freedom did Miles let the instrumentalists have when it came to what they were doing? Because admittedly, like, it feels so complex. And it feels like obviously there's an improvisational nature to it. And it seems like they all kind of went in with, maybe, I'm going to say, like, they each brought their own texture to add to the sound, right? Like John on the guitar, the drums, they each decided they were going to maybe do something a little bit different. So in that improvisational sense, but I almost feel like for improv to work, you have to have it based on some sort of skeletal structure almost, right? Like, because otherwise you end up making a Dada piece and puzzling everybody without, but when I say a Dada piece, I mean just a train wreck. If everybody kind of goes in and it's just too improvisational. So I'm certainly interested. Miles isn't really a composer, so he just kind of goes in there and jams and records it, and people are like, okay, this is Miles' project. Let's do what he wants. And again, forgive my ignorance on this, because I'm just not. I don't know how it works. Like. This is coming from a complete place of ignorance. So any amount of context you have or understanding that you can offer, I very much appreciate. What's up, Walrus? Welcome to the Rooskies, homie. Tight. You hear him say that? Like something like, keep the mic there, keep it tight. Maybe, yeah. I might call that Dada music. Love his work. Walrus, you know, I think you just articulated in a very, 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 very eloquent way how difficult it can be to jump into a genre that you don't know anything about, right? It's always seemed like a genre that I wanted to dive into, but it seems so demanding and esoteric at times. It's like a wall made of smoke that you can't climb. I wouldn't disagree with you too much. You know, especially in my earliest ventures into jazz music, I definitely felt like there was an element through the comment section where people were just like, "Oh, you don't already like jazz?" And like, you know, "Oh, you don't know this?" Like it really did kind of feel like that. But then there was a total other aspect of like the jazzers, I'll say, that were just like, "Hey, please keep listening to this stuff. The world needs it and you're gonna love it." And honestly, there was enough of that in me that like that spoke louder than the negativity kind of thing that it came with. And the amaze that I've had because people within the community have pointed me towards tremendous jazz is really, really, really cool. There is a lot of gatekeeping, but if you can find people that are already inside of the gate, a lot of times they'll tell you how to find cracks and to get, you know, into the fortress, so to speak. Like, and it's still something I've been very new to, but I will say, with a couple of exceptions, it has been a pretty welcoming thing. And I feel like as you find more, you definitely start wanting to dig into other stuff. Like, believe it or not, the only reason I ever listened to John Coltrane for the first time was because I heard the song by Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow, where she says fueling up on what was it? Coltrane and whiskey. I've been fueling up on Coltrane and whiskey, and it made me think, what's Coltrane? But it's like that's the only way I ever kind of found a way to get into it outside of like, you know, just the random, "Oh, you haven't heard this?" So it is a hard thing, and I think having a community of music discovery definitely helps. So feel free to hang out. I'm telling you, there are plenty of good jazz people to tell you what to listen to if you're looking. Kid Rock, my portal to jazz. Who would have thought? I love the tug here, the tension built from the off time. tension in this. What? 1 2 1 2 1 2. Is that like I'm hearing the drums on like the right side and like a, is it a 2 3? The do 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 do. There's like a polyrhythmic thing happening here, and when you have the saxophone going or the trumpet going against the drums, it creates this massive amount of like tension, and it almost feels like it's going to release. And to your point, I actually don't know that we get jam band music without jazz, right? Like we needed the improvisational foundational building blocks from jazz to take it into what happens in jam band music. So any of us, this is jam bands. Exactly. That's exactly the dot that I'm kind of connecting. And so like I don't know that maybe it's accessible to my brain because I so much love the improvisational nature of music and the tension that comes with it. And I like that it sounds like people are being people, and it doesn't sound like a studio, it doesn't feel like this is built on business decisions. It feels like this is built on the friggin' love of music. And that, I think, is why I have such a strong, penchant for the ethos of jam band music. And I think further than that, maybe similar to what I do in music discovery, right? Like I hear music I like and I kind of dig deeper and deeper and deeper and chase my influences and their influences from there. And I think if you like rock and you start chasing the, down the line, kind of going backwards down the number line of rock and jam, you end up at jazz. I think, that's kind of the thought. And to kind of hear what seems to be sort of proto fusion jazz, or maybe the actual beginning of fusion jazz, maybe not even proto fusion jazz, it seems really, really, really like so many of the performances that have touched me are kind of rooted in this ethos. Love you, Snake. Exactly. I feel like more specifically, like I think a reason I like Dave Matthews Band so much is because they travel with the horn section, and you can get some like just gut busting horn solos throughout what they do, and their collection of songs do really well to have a horn section. But as I'm hearing like this, it occurs to me that like Dave is very rooted in jazz in a way that I just had no idea about. Storms are only named after women when a storm is brewing. I don't know. Is that really where this came from? Like I'm really? We'll never hear shorter Honestly, this I feel like this song is kind of a wilder journey than Pharaohs Dance. crashes in the left ear. The bass work. I also just, yeah, the storm thing, it's neither here nor there. It's a dude that messed up a little fact. I don't know if there is. It almost feels like Bitch's Brew is named that way to just be almost kind of stir the pot. You know what I mean? Like, this feels like kind of one of those things where, like, if you don't stir the pot, you burn the sauce. And like, it's not like he's being controversial with lyricism here, right? Like, he's being controversial because he's like messing up with jazz, right? But maybe it's almost like more of a call out towards the jazz standards of the time than it is any kind of like female scenario. I don't know. Maybe there's a total reason behind the name Bitches Brew, but it almost feels like it's a name to just stir the pot of the times. You hear Miles again. Hola! Hey, Walrus, have the best sleep, homie. Thank you for coming by. There's John. This is nice. So we kind of go, like, with this keys thing, we get this keys thing. It's like everybody kind of fades out. You hear this kind of bombastic keys thing, maybe a say Sura moment, and then what appears to be a transition. Did anybody feel like that sounded a little bit like The Things People Do by Fish? That random little moment. I already did that song. There's the link. I'm sweating bullets. There's just no explaining the things people do. I cannot hear, like, it feels like I'm hearing Paige play the keys on that one part just because of the keys tone. Not even, it's literally, it almost sounds a little bit like that song for whatever reason. Ooh. Kind of a bookend thing there. We go back to the from the trumpet thing with that kind of like oscillating back and forth ping-pongy sound. Wow. The keys are so nice. Did anybody ever see the first episode of Cowboy Bebop? And you know that scene where Asimov gets shot down in space, spoilers, and you hear that sexy jazz, this song, like that moment, this squeal sounded like that. Right here. When you get that long squeal. Oh no, you didn't say Yoko Ono, you said Yoko Kanno. I made my wife laugh with that one. The Shakers. And John on the guitar with the bass on the right side, John on the left. The tension here, the build-up, the multiple drums, and the Shakers. Oh no, it didn't! like that. That was maybe the first sense of like a what felt like a melody throughout this whole thing. That random saxophone moment really did just feel like the closest thing to a melody I've heard, and I really liked it. Also, I actually don't necessarily have an opinion on whether or not I think Yoko broke up the Beatles or not. I think the joke, "Oh no, she didn't," is kind of funny. Or "Oh no, ego didn't," is kind of funny also. But I do think it's one of those things that was inevitable. I think everybody wanted to do their own stuff. I think, we all were blessed with really great music because of the Beatles, both during and after their time together. That said, I don't think that you could necessarily blame somebody from outside of the band. I feel like, it's kind of an everybody's decision sort of thing, right? I mean, I don't know. None of us were there. I think it's speculation. And the only reason I even know it's a thing is because people talk about it. Not that this album is about talking about whether or not Yoko broke up the Beatles or not. But I guess since we're here, chat, and I mean, YouTube comments, feel free to chime in. Did Yoko break up the Beatles in your opinion? I guess I don't really care. Whoa. The underlying bass clarinet thing that's happening throughout this is just kind of madness. There's so much of this album that's like, they really transition in such interesting ways, It's like, it feels sometimes like there are board fades in the middle of the songs, but I know it's not them board fading. I know it's that they're literally just playing to the point that they're quiet. So it sounds like there is an effect in there when there's not. And that adds such a level of dynamic and master to the sounds that we are hearing, because you've got to, like, for example, you've got, I'm not saying, I'm not going to go back, but like you'll have one of the sax go and just like kind of lower his own volume. And I feel like all of the instrumentalists do that, and they kind of let their sounds decay naturally, so it feels as though you're having they're kind of adjusting their volumes, but it's really like they're opening up space for other people to take forefronts, and it also shifts the dynamic range of the sound to where you kind of have these like ebb and flow of high energy and loud and chaos, and other moments of like delicacy and softness, and uh it's it kind of opens up other ideas to come to life, and I like having those different moments. It almost feels like it builds up with such tension, and then it just kind of releases naturally or deflates, not necessarily like it doesn't necessarily like syncopate up and fall into time, and then take us into this like nice easy melodic chorus or song structure. It takes us just onto another part of the adventure that is either more or less complex, and I like that. Decrescendo? Is that a word? Well, and that's what I'm saying. I know that nobody's in there board fading, right? It was just the way I could describe the sound that I was hearing to make that like it was a gradual reduction of volume, or a decay of sound, not necessarily somebody physically turning something down. Thank you. I didn't know if decrescendo was a word. That's why this is so helpful to me as a musician. Right there. Exactly what I'm talking about. Got it. I really like that you've got John kind of just holding this bop, bop, bop. Like it's almost like a very, like he's playing rhythm guitar when you know that this guy could just be flying all over the place. Bop, 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 bop. And John goes on to do Mahavishnu after this, correct? I think that this is keys, not bass. Basic keys, got it. This part sounds like a noir film for sure. Not that part. That's so good. Almost siren levels. He might have. The noises are so big, but his like the way he holds that sustain while it's kind of oscillating from ear to ear is just really cool. Dan, you're kind of funny about that. You might be right. The little march snare kind of moments. I'd never done a single bad thing in a day of my life before that night. I don't know. That was me trying to be a Nor actor, but it didn't work. It didn't work at all. You know, I feel like I'm kind of speechless because there's not a like I don't. I'm recognizing how really ignorant I am about the genre, and I want so much to have like a foundational knowledge so I can talk and say more intelligible things and like, oh wow. But I find myself just fascinated. Like I'm riveted. My wife's cute, isn't she? You know, and as I hear this, like it screams like virtuous. It just and hearing what they do, hearing how they bounce it around, hearing the room, hearing the way that they kind of play off of one another, hearing these moments that feel like kind of call and response, hearing these moments that feel both intentionally chaotic but also intentionally soft. And again, just the ebb and flow of it. It seems like you're saying this. So this is the first jazz fusion thing, but not the first thing that had like electric guitars. It was stitched together. Like, I would definitely be interested. Did they recreate this live? Like, how does it work? Like, did he travel with the band that recorded it, and then they just do improvisations kind of in a similar way? This is how good jazz sounds, not NPR jazz. Got it. Yeah, this is. I actually don't know one way or another about NPR jazz, but I do find that like this is certainly something that like it's just scratching a good spot on my brain, you know? Anyways, I've got to run an ad. I will be back here in a bit. Stay frosty. All right, guys, I am back. I am hopping on in. We have 4 songs to go, totaling, let's see, 31, 35, 40 plus the seconds, which totals to about 2 minutes. So, yeah, so it's like 42 minutes there on the backside because I'm not doing Feio. And I'm not gonna lie, John McLaughlin is like the song title I was kind of most looking forward to. So yeah, let's hop on into this one. This is volume 2. Now, is there any differentiating factor, or is this a classic side A, side B scenario? And do you find that you, if you've heard this, prefer volume 1, volume 2, or side A, side B? You know, let me know if has anybody heard 1 and 2 before? I have John McLaughlin on the pie. Well, I tell you what, this next chunk's for you, oh diggity. Here we go, Spanish key. Okay. I feel and look alert. My body doesn't feel awesome. I'm hot and cold. We're heading into side C. Got it. You broke 2 classes, sir? That sucks. The bass is so heartbeaty and kind of pumping. This feels like it's got like a melody to it. The da-da-da-da-da-da kind of feels like there's something there. I like hearing that against the drums. I really feel like both of these drummers, like, I mean, obviously all of the band is like contributing texture, but it's just something about the way he plays his trumpet against these drums that just makes me so happy. And this bass line. Like the bass clarinet against his trumpet here, when he does these long sustained breaths, where I feel like he's got to be breathing in through his nose and out through his mouth at the same time, like in like some sort of cycle. Gosh! And then the guitar part. John McLaughlin sounding a little bit like he's got some Santana-y guitar tones there with those like bam, bam, like and you know, whatever the frig that like roar moment was of that trumpet. I've never heard a trumpet make a sound like that. Guitar part was amazing, but then this. Bam. Let's go! Waiting for this all album. And the bass is in. It makes me so happy to know he's playing this on a 335. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I myself am the proud owner of like a walnut ES335 named Jersey Girl, and it's just nice to know that, you know, its distant cousin did this, you know. Interestingly enough, it got that name because as a wedding gift, my in-laws decided to buy me that guitar. And I was like, you should not do that. You should buy me and your daughter, my now wife, a gift and not me a guitar. And they were like, that's not how this works, pal. What kind of guitar do you want? What's your favorite guitar? And so I couldn't name the guitar after my wife's mom. She wouldn't stand for that. So I named it after my wife's mom and called it Jersey Girl instead. And she is a Jersey girl through and through. She reps Jersey and everything. It makes sense. Jeaner is how we named her Jersey Girl. This part, after he rips on that, oh, I think this has been my favorite one so far. There are two drummers in this, and for the record, South Jersey is best Jersey because that's the Jersey I've been to. Also, shout out to Bagel International, who is in South Jersey and the maker of the best bagels in the world. What do you call it? Just the beach? Oh, I didn't know that. My bad. Apparently, where I went wasn't South Jersey. My bad. She's laughing at me. The keys. This really has had, like, I think probably been I think this has definitely been my favorite song that I've heard on this album so far. The hearing the way that they're all kind of working, hearing the like in tandem, but then hearing just them all kind of trading leads, and there's this like excitement to it. There's also it's been less. I mean, this has been more energetic than it has been like dynamic, and I've really appreciated that. The keys. This is absolutely making Dave Matthews Band's horn section make more sense to me. Without like dun dun dun. You've got the bass kind of holding a doon 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 kind of vibe. I also really feel like I'm finding that my brain kind of feels like John McLaughlin sort of walked on this album so that he could maybe run with Mahavishnu Orchestra. Um, and hearing the way he is just being a team player in this is really, really, really cool because when you kind of see him take at least the vocal front or like the person who's kind of speaking on behalf of the band when he's with Mahavishnu Orchestra, it's an interesting dynamic. And as I'm sitting here listening to this, my brain is kind of imagining what it would be like to hear Miles talk to John because of how soft spoken and almost like maybe shy. One of the very few people I've ever seen in real life or like videos of that I would actually call demure, like kind of just, he seems like a very conscientious, soft spoken, kind, delicate, like truly passive person. Um, especially in the way he talks. But when I heard, everything I've heard about Miles Davis makes him sound like he's the actual coolest human being the world ever actually knew. And it just makes me very interested to see, especially because when I saw McLaughlin, it seemed like spiritualism was very much at the forefront of his life. I'm wondering where he was in life at this point, and if it's like if he was the same kind of dude invested in spiritualism at that time, working with Miles, or if this was a different version of John. Do you know anything about that? Like, do you know where you know? I'm curious. I don't know anything about his demons. Gosh, that sounds awesome. I want to revisit the way that that trumpet moment happened again. That it's like it didn't slow in time, so it created this tremendous rub and tension against what it was being played against. But it was the most fascinating. But you're talking about Miles' demons and how he was pretty racist, but I'm kind of sitting here thinking to myself, like, on Miles Davis's album, he named one of his songs John McLaughlin, which I don't think you do, because none of the other members, other than Miles, has their name in a song. So it almost makes me feel like there had to have been a level of tremendous respect, one man to the other. And in this case, I'm referring to Miles to John simply because why else would he have given him an entire feature? You know what I mean? I don't really, again, I'm willing to bet you that regardless of the way the man was, in the midst of them playing, I don't think that race necessarily mattered to them because it was the music that mattered at that moment, right? So that's to me, I just can't imagine Miles and John not having a good relationship on that premise alone. I mean, I don't know that this is the forum to have a race discussion listening to jazz music. I think more than anything, the focus is that, like, music kind of negates these things, right? Like, I feel like you can hear the respect of the musicians amongst themselves. They are clearly all having this very elaborate and pronounced discussion amongst the instruments. And I feel like you don't make music that is this appealing and interesting, that stands out like this. Well, I say that, but there's been tons of, I don't know. I feel like the thing to focus on here is probably the music. That's also fair. See, Domestic Strife, I literally know nothing. When you said demons, in my brain, I was thinking it was more like drugs or something, you know, because like, I know, at least in the beatnik era, Benzedrine and like, you know, meth was really kind of coming on strong. But you were saying like Miles like coke, heroin, not necessarily psychedelics, I guess earlier. But yeah, I was definitely thinking it was more of a drug thing. Music don't see color, absolutely. And honestly, I that's one of the best things in the world. Even the imagery on the album, this does not feel like racist imagery, you know? It feels kind of like yin and yang humanity, like, I don't know. And honestly, maybe it's just one's supposed to be a negative of the other, so maybe this is actually intended to be the same face. I don't know, but it feels like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit, I don't know. This has by far been the best song on the album. The drum sound in the right ear is fantastic. Who's our right ear drummer? Gosh, this guitar part. Like his double bend moments, like he's so articulate, but it's like he pulls things out of his hat that you just don't like. He runs these real big rhythm, like it's so cool. It almost feels like John did like a volume fade with a tremolo, or with the vibrato on his guitar. Right there. Bass clarinet. Bass clarinet. Split open an ice 5. That where it gets all squeak. You know, you just have so many noises that kind of come into the forefront of this all throughout it. And like, I think this is another one of those albums that I'm kind of just excited to like just kind of listen to without you guys, like without the mandatory necessity of like pausing it so I can upload it to YouTube later. This has been just such a fun listen, and I could easily just have this playing in the background while I'm working, and like it would totally work for me. I'm finding that the way that they all blend together stands out. The way that they all kind of converse with their instruments, and the way that they all, it really feels like each musician wants the other musicians to shine. Like it feels like it's a very selfless affair, and I love that. I'm definitely gonna listen while I brew. So first-time album listeners, how are we feeling through this now? Because I think Spanish Key just became my favorite. And they actually honorably ended it. They didn't fade it at all. Everybody, you even hear the ring, and they're just letting things decay. And now this is the song I have been waiting for. John McLaughlin. This is the song I have been waiting for. I just want to hear this man rip one apart. And I'm really hoping that this is the moment Miles is like, hey, John, do it. like he plays against time sometimes on purpose, and it almost feels like he's got this interesting little dance with offbeats. What I like is that you think he's gonna keep just full sending it. Like there's these moments where you think like do 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 do, and you want it to go do 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 do, like you want him to just fly off the handle because I've heard what he can do, but it's like he's leaving you intentionally wanting more. Sustain. Oh, this is edging a lot. John's been building it more and more. Even in the song named John McLaughlin, all of the instrumentalists are getting their due. Yes, John has certainly been primarily featured, but I do feel like they still went out of their way to make sure everybody kind of got theirs, and that's been really, really, really nice. Miles doesn't play a single note on this? The keys are nuts. I really liked this. Oh my goodness, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am over here dealing with the hot colds a little bit. I am actually going to take a just a brief break. I want to do this whole thing tonight. I think I've got 25 more minutes in me for music, which means, you know, a little bit more time than that for the total reaction. But I am gonna give myself a moment. I will be back. Smoke them if you got them. Go make your peas and poops. All right, guys. We've only got like, you know, the last side of the album to go. Miles runs the Voodoo down and Sanctuary. Remember, because Feio did not come on the album proper, we are not going down that path. So from here, let's hop in and close this thing down, shall we? Here we go. By the way, if you've heard it before, what's your favorite song on the album? If you haven't heard it before, what's your favorite song so far? In Tennessee, I was paying $20 if I bought 1 gram at a time. It was terrible. Miles is walking around NOLA at like 4 a.m. and heard someone practicing this drum line through a window. He built a song around it. Nice. I like what John's doing on the guitar here. I know I keep commenting on it, but it's the instrument I have some sort of ability to kind of understand a bit of what's going on. But you've got, like, this is maybe the most rock-oriented structuring I've heard so far. It feels like it's got maybe the most natural sense of a, like, rhythm to it. One that I can understand. One that I feel like at least this part. I feel like we've heard this sampled or something. I feel like I've heard some bit of this, or like people have sampled it and I've heard it in popular music, or maybe I've just heard this song somewhere in like cinema or movie or something. Can you guys do a search and tell me if I've heard this in a movie that I might know about? There's certainly something here. John is going to do this. Like there's. It's the trumpet that's got me. Like I feel like I'm something. That bass. Bow, 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 bow. That would, yeah, dude, I gotta say, John McLaughlin is slowly becoming one of the guitar players that I respect the most in history. And I say it because it's just he does different things. It's like he's not my favorite, but I just respect the heck out of how he approaches music. And it's like off kind of a minimal knowledge of his catalog. But I return to Intermounting Flame quite a bit. I guess that happened like the following year. Not mine, not yet. I mean, I think right now, my Mount Rushmore of guitars, guitar players, I think I probably put Jerry, I probably put Trey, I probably put I debate pretty heavily between Hendrix and Page. I'll say Hendrix. See, I can't say Diener because he's not on Mount Rushmore. He's one I really, really love, but I don't, maybe it's both Jimmys. I'll need to think hard on it because honestly, this isn't one I'm prepared to talk about. I would put Diener is just a, I can't have this talk right now. I would actually put Zappa above Page, I think. I actually think I would. No, I can't do. I don't know that I'm ready to do that yet. This has certainly been my favorite John performance, and honestly, so look, I gotta say that when it comes to Jimmy Page, he was just my first actual favorite guitar player. You know, like Zeppelin was one of the earliest bands I ever really deep dove, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, and I consistently revisited them all throughout life, even to this day. And some of my favorite guitar parts, some of the formative things that kind of helped me foundationally connect dots, are coming from Page's licks, right? I I don't think yeah, that's just me. I think a lot of people have their thoughts on Led Zeppelin and maybe you can say that they got over commercialized, but I do think that I can't erase Page's influence off of my brain. I will say, of the four I mentioned, clearly he was the first one to go, which is really weird to see that I'm getting that way. But I feel like that goes to show that I'm actually very honestly seeking out music at its fullest, right? I am challenging my own favorites constantly. I almost threw off Jimmy Page for Frank Zappa, and I feel like it's totally fair if I do that, but I just haven't invested enough of my life and love yet into Zappa to be like, yeah, Page, you're out. But I'm also like, I would love to say Dean Ween is on my Rushmore, but I similarly put, I'm not there yet. I've just got such a sentimental connection to Page because of what he's meant to my life. And so yeah, I feel like that said, so many I feel like Trey Anastasio forced his way onto that list, and because I have deeply invested, and it's interesting because John, for so many different reasons than any of the people that are on the mountain deserve to be on a mountain. And it's like when you hear how he just improvisationally does this stuff, I don't know that Jimmy Page could truly improvise. And I think it's the improvisational nature that I find the most love in, you know? I feel like a real master of an instrument can improvise and play in any circumstance, in any situation, no matter what. And John McLaughlin has certainly proven he can do that. This sexy bass. I think Miles Runs the Voodoo Down is my favorite song. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. You've got that doot 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 doot, that bass line. You've got John really kind of making his biggest impression in the whole album on this song, even though he had a song named his name. And I mean, really, it's just kind of the slowest, sexiest jam of the whole thing. You've got, it's definitely got its ups and downs. It's definitely got its ebbs and flows, but it's definitely found, this is the vibiest song, I think. Yeah, he does. The keys are nuts. Whoa. Which one is this guy? Chick. Gosh. And all the time the bass is going dun 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 the whole time. That's my head, like, when I realize, like, when I used to realize the acid kicked in, right? It's like, especially in the nights I took too much, like, because, I'm not, like, you know, we're not doing stuff like that anymore, and we're happy about that in our life, like, truly. But I can remember times where I would, like, have indulged in perhaps way too many psychedelics, and the moment you kind of realize it, that's kind of what it sounds like inside. The madness of these keys. The sexy nature of this bass vibe is just so good. Literally backboning this entire thing. And you got... I almost feel like John and Miles are kind of doing call and response right now. I've never... He's still going. He's still going. Miles, breathe. Okay, he breathed. This has been the best one. Yo, I'm glad to hear that, Dan. I like that they've kind of just let it naturally end. This is the last song of what I guess was released on the album proper. I'm not gonna lie. I really didn't know what I was gonna kind of walk into because I feel like I was a little hesitant that it didn't have lyrics. And I feel like I was a little bit hesitant at its length. I also had heard many people say that this was a challenging listen, and I feel like I feel like that's just not at all the case. I feel like it's only a challenge if jazz just is not for you. But when people said this was a challenge, I'm thinking that they meant like it was a Trout Mask replica level challenge, and that just maybe I walked into this expecting I was just gonna be like brutalized with sound. That wasn't it at all. I really feel like I got to this album and it just was a display of virtuous music, you know? Virtuosic music at any rate. Like this is really, I feel like kind of the beginning of, like, you see sounds like kind of come up in funk and soul and certainly R&B. I and it's like kind of the foundation for the jam band thing, right? Like this is what the building blocks are. This is, yeah, it was the biggest selling jazz album of all time. It was a massive hit. Trout Trout Mask Replica raised your skill ceiling. Potentially. Maybe. I don't know. At any rate, I came equipped to be ready for anything after listening to Trout Mask Replica. And I can see why this was as influential as it was, you know? And it's like there's master class performances at every instrument, and that Miles cares enough about the music to let every instrumentalist shine. He didn't just make a trumpet album. He made a work of art that challenged the way things were done in music at the time. And it's a pretty gnarly and awesome thing to do anyway, right? Like challenge the known format and structure of what makes a genre a genre. And this is also kind of leaning into that idea that like maybe genre is the biggest limiting factor. Like if he just played jazz the way people wanted him to play jazz, we lose so much of what, you know, would go to change music. Um, because maybe if jazz fusion hadn't happened, we'd see significantly less jazz influence within the rock and roll space. Um, I mean, I absolutely feel like the ripples in music that this album left are just massive. You know what I mean? Like it a drop in the water creates ripples, the size of like massive waves, and that's just so cool. Anyway, Sanctuary is the final one. Here we go. What's been your favorite one so far, if you had one? Because I think Miles runs the Voodoo, and then Spanish Key are my two favorites right now. I'm gonna bring this back. This is super sexy. This also very much sounds like the first episode sequence of Cowboy Bebop in that space scene I was telling you about. Love the tension they're building here. This is a very totally different shift after that last one. That was so high energy. This has been the most conventionally Norse sounding music we've heard so far, I think. I'm also just immediately in love with it. It feels like I could watch somebody walking in like sepia coloring or black and white coloring in like a trench coat with a top hat, like one of those things, and like looking down trying to solve a mystery. Wow, that key run. Sorry, I had to make sure my guy got off the chair well. He doesn't... His legs are kind of hurting. The keys, they keep doing these kind of like runs up and down. I don't know if they're like arpeggios that they're doing. But it's like they're maybe they are. You have such it almost feels like everything is in like the softest crescendo ever. Yes! That ride work is tasty. It almost... Did we increase tempo there? In Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, you're not lying. There's a little bit of it with the Rhodes sound or the Wurlitzer sound that kind of gives me that vibe. And if you didn't know, I know a lot of people that watch the channel have maybe heard me say this if they've watched it for an extended period of time. But Mr. Rogers is my life's hero. I know he was chess. hear that dan dan dan, it really did go from such like the most conventionally vibey conventional song to a real big like kind of tense like build. Say, Sura? This is so nice. This is like, I think when a lot of people think of jazz, like whether it's a saxophone or a trumpet, they think of kind of this. Like this moment is kind of like that smoky jazz, like sexy sound sort of vibe that I think a lot of people when they hear jazz and they're like, man, I love that sound. I could listen to that for hours. That's what they're looking for, but they don't know how to find that. Without question, Radar. These keys. Yeah, like I think a lot of people that want to listen to jazz music want to listen to jazz music that sounds like this most recent section that we've come into, right? Duke Silver, if you know, you know. Hilarious that you called that out. But I think a lot of people want this like jazz that sounds sultry. You know what I mean? They want that. They want it to sound like there are cigarettes and being smoked around us, and like it in a dimly lit place. And it's like unless you just know who does that jazz anyway, it's kind of hard to find. Um, like that almost sad sounding like really long breathy horn sound. um this is I've said it as we've gone through this so many times. This is maybe the easiest song to like, and I would say if you are trying to introduce somebody to this album, you probably would do so with the song Sanctuary in my brain. Maybe I'm wrong though. um I just feel like that's the case. Very nice, your name. Smooth and silky evening to you all. On nights like this, when the cold winds blow and the air is awash in the swirling eddies of our dream, come with me and find safe haven in a warm bathtub full of my jazz. The bombastic nature of this thing too, with the drums, you know, the things happening behind it. Like volume swelly kind of moments. in like the most delicate way that we're getting more of the Mr. Rogers-y like key sound. The bass right now, it's an upright bass. And that crescendo. The hand drum. I think it's just more fair to say that this album is amazing. I could daily drive this. It's going madness. And then man, that was tremendous. Yeah, when you ask if I could daily drive this, this is one. So, if you didn't know this about me, I am an underwriter for a bank, and I underwrite loans in this chair when I am not listening to music with you guys, and also on Tuesday and or Thursday and Friday. You know, I underwrite loans on the days I don't do this too, but this is absolutely something I could literally just put on and like, because admittedly, sometimes I have to pause the music as I'm underwriting loans because like my brain gets so focused on what it is I'm hearing that like on the words. Instrumental music is definitely interesting. Jazz, I don't know because I feel like there's going to be so much of this that I just get lost. Maybe I get lost in, and I'm like, I want to hear that instead of underwrite this loan in this moment, but. This feels like it's absolutely music that could just be happening as I'm, doing my job. And that's pretty cool. I did not at all get what I expected when I came here. I feel like I should mention that. But I got what I did get was so much more than what I had anticipated that I'm really really massively blown away. I think that fusion jazz or jazz fusion, whichever whatever is the more correct way to say it, uh, is just so exciting to me because it's so different than anything I've ever actually listened to before. Right? Like it feels like a blue tree in a green forest. It stands out because I've spent so much of my time listening to the same kinds of sounds that this is so far removed from all of them that it's exciting. But then there's instrumentation that like I hear that I'm like, oh, that's so inspiring. That's so nice. That's so, crazy. That's so chaotic. That's so bombastic. That's so, whatever the word is in the moment. You don't say that about music that you can. I wouldn't say that about music I would conventionally listen to. And one thing I think when you dig into stuff like this and you really expand your actual taste, like it makes you appreciate the music that you already love that much more. As I was listening to this album, I could not help but connect dots with like the music that I really, really, really love naturally. Like again, like prog rock, jam band music, whatever. I didn't realize how much of that must have actually been rooted in in jazz or jazz concepts. And I think especially like it makes me want to continue to dig into like fusion artists, jazz artists, and kind of like I want to see what Herbie Hancock is about now because other people have mentioned him, and maybe I should listen to the one song from Herbie I know is Watermelon Man, and I'm thinking maybe I should check out that album, whichever it falls on. But um, I'm also wondering what else of Miles is there. I think that this has just been very uh, weirdly enough informative, but it's leading me to kind of wonder, as we've discussed, it feels like jazz is a hard thing to get into because there's like prerequisite knowledge that a lot of people lack. Um, Let me know if I like this, I would also like that in the comments section. This has been such a wonderful journey, but guys, I am tired. I am ready for bed, and I'm ready to listen to this another time. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the positivity that you show both to me and to one another. Continue to be the best. And until I see you next, be introspective and consider the birds. Thank you if you've made it through this whole thing with me, whether live on Twitch or Kick or on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here this whole time. You're actually amazing for it. I love you. Goodbye.